Hey guys, welcome back to Cuda Cave. So, standing here in front of the car, it's not always fun and games in the shop. This is fun. It's not really a game, more like a puzzle. Piece by piece, fit it in. What fits works, and eventually we'll have a complete puzzle here. But yeah, on a serious note, we got into a little bit of a different project, and let me turn the camera around. We'll show you what we did. There we go, guys. There's the car. And here was the serious project. Yeah, I built a beer pong table. Not really serious, but it was fun to build. Had a little gathering here, everybody enjoyed it, and of course, had to put Cuda Cave on it. So let me take you back over the car. I'll show you what I did in here. So as you can see, last time we did this part here, we put that patch in. So I went ahead and I filled this one in. I got a little more work to do on it, a little more fill in this spot. But for the most part, that's in there. I still need to go under the car and weld that flange onto the inner wheel well. That way it's nice and secure. I got a few tacks in there, got some cleanup in the top corner. But I think for today, we're gonna do this and then we'll work on that spot. So this spot over here, as you can see, I've outlined where I want to cut the old out. And once I cut that out, this is going to give me a great template to make the new piece, put it in there. As you can see, it goes right into the frame rail, so we got to make sure that it's nice and sturdy and tight. So let me get set up here, guys, and we'll tear into this. All right, guys, so here we are back under the car. So like I was saying, that floor pan that I made for in here, we got to weld that flange to the inner wheel well. So right now, I'm just going to grab a hold of my spot welder. We'll just throw a few spots in here as we go, weld that all up, and looks like I got a little bit of buffing from welding that flange on, but that's not a big deal. We can clean that up. Some more up in here. So I got the vice grips on there to hold everything tight. It does gap a little bit, but we'll move them down here, and as we go, we'll just move that up. Alright guys, so we got that all spot welded in. I had a little bit of trouble with my spot welder. A, it's really heavy to lift up in here. B, the tips that I had on it were worn out, so I wasn't getting good penetration. So in the time lapse you see me do one, grab a screwdriver and try and pry apart a little bit. That was just me wanting to make sure that the metal had melted together and we got a firm connection. But hey, we'll go up top now, and yeah, as you can see, I got a lot of cleanup underneath here yet. That'll be probably primarily a time-lapse video in the future. But nonetheless, little by little, piece by piece, we're getting there. Alright guys, so here we are, we're back upside on the inside of the car here. So we got this floor pan that we got to rebuild in here as well. On here I've made a line, and I'm going to outline it with my finger, just I don't think you're going to get close enough to see it. So there's a marker line that I put on here. And this is where I want to cut the old one out. Nice thing is, if I can get this out in one piece, I can use this as a pattern on the other piece of sheet metal. We got a little more work to do up in here, but we'll make that piece afterwards, blend them together. We got the frame rail there, so we can get a good seal, good penetration and stability when we go into the frame rail. That'll get both pieces of the metal. So we got a nice sturdy spot here. We just got to get rid of this cancer, get rid of this stuff. So I'll get my stuff on and we'll cut that out. Alright guys, so let's see if we can get this up in one piece so we can use it as a template. I know there's a couple spots down here that I didn't quite cut all the way through, but I didn't want to get too far, get into the other metal. Remember, we got the frame rail running in here, so that we want to be careful not to cut into it as well, because, well, it's new. Whatever we cut, we got to weld. So let's just see what we can pry out of here. Hopefully it'll be intact, because we want it as a template, right? A little more cutting in here. I'll cut that. I don't want the speaker to get too loud with grinder, okay? Just a moment. Alrighty, so we gave that a little cut. I just knew if I ran that grinder while that camera was rolling, that's going to be really loud for you guys. Once I can get under this. There we go. One little piece there. So we'll just wiggle that out. Eventually the metal will break where we need it to. But there's our template. So I think we can rebuild this with a sheet of metal, piece of metal, sorry. So there's the new frame rail sitting here. We want to be sure that we clean this all up. I think I might run a little bit of a weld right where the seam meets, but we'll venture that when we get closer. Looks like I got to drill a couple holes a little bit bigger. But yeah, we're getting there, guys. What I'll do, I'll get set up, we'll start making this piece, and then we'll weld it in. Alright guys, so here we are, we're on the workbench. There's the piece that we cut out. Here's our new piece of sheet metal. So what I've done is found the longest straight edge with the smallest amount of cutting. That way we can utilize this and save our discs on the grinder from cutting. They like to get eaten up quite quick. So all I'm going to do is come across here. I want to mark this out. So if you remember, the seat back had a little bit of a swoop to it. I haven't changed that. I'm not going to change that because, well, it needs to I can't think of the word where I was going. Oh, I need to follow the template for the bend on this. Sorry about the pause there. I was kind of lost in thought. So what we're going to do is just keep that curve, and we'll lift the metal up. Finish tracing this along. Also, what we want to do is note this little bit of a ribbing right here. I'm not sure if you can see it, but there's a little bit of a dip in the metal. So I kind of want to mark it. There's where it starts, the width of it, how far we have to go down. So we'll mark inside here too, a couple of the rust holes. That'll give us a good idea as to where we have to put that bend back into it. So if you can see the outline on this, actually, let me bring it closer. Be right back. Guys, so there it is. Yeah, so there's our cut lines that we want to do. I'm going to go just a little bit beyond that cut line. That way, if I do need to trim or anything like that, I have the material to do so rather than filling it full of weld. So there's our markings for the rib that we need to put in there, and that's not hard to do. Also, these two holes, I've marked where those are. Yeah, we'll get cutting some metal here. Alright guys, so I got the sheet metal clamped down. I can see my lines in here. Might be difficult on the video to see those. But I'm just going to follow the lines, like I said, a little bit so I have more material to play with as I go. So, looks like I missed a line. I need to know where that one stops and starts, so good thing we checked. So just put this back down here again, and there's the line that I missed. So we'll just mark that. So I'll get my stuff on, and we'll just cut this out. I'm going to fast forward that. Don't need to bore you with that. Okay. Alright, so here we are guys, we got our piece all cut. Again, noted where that rib goes in, and the two holes, but the two holes we can do anytime. So we'll just line this up, and from what I can see, I got enough meat on each side that if I have to trim, I can do that. But yeah, there it is. So what I'm going to do now, that little curvature that's in this, I'll move this around a little bit so you can see. So that little bit of a curvature that's in the end here. So all I'm going to do, I want to just mark it. It's not a real bad bend or terrible bend, but we want to make sure that we're getting it fairly close. So right there. Okay. That's a relatively easy bend. We'll just flip this over. Take note of where our lines are. We'll just use the corner of the bench. Like I said, it's not a terrible bend, so as long as we get it close, because we got to screw it down anyways when we're in there, but the screws can only hold so much. So we'll put that there. A little bit more in that one corner, I'm thinking. So just in here. Well, would you look at there? We got ourselves a replacement floor pan. So we'll go to the car, we'll fit it in, we'll see how it fits. I think it's going to fit relatively well. Might have to hammer and dolly a little bit in some spots, but we'll get there. All right, guys. So here we are back in the car again. My finger got in the way. So what we got here? Here's the frame rails. There's the piece that we cut out around here. So what we're going to do now? We'll just grab this piece. Oh yeah, I gotta weld here. Get that into the cross member. I got to drill these a little bit bigger. That way we can get the penetration from the bottom. I don't really want to weld from the bottom, but I've already got the holes there, so we might as well utilize those. So here's our new pan. Let's just try that in spot. So I want to make sure that down on the bottom here is where we're going to line up. After that, we can trim up here if need be. So let's just get that into place. And you know something? I'm really liking this. Measure twice, cut once, right? I'm really liking that. That's fitting very well. We can push this side down so it can match up with the cut on the back side here. In here, we can weld this in. Yeah, I'm quite happy with the fit of this. Looks like I got to trim just a little bit off the side of this so we can match up with the old. But I've got to grind down some of this so we can get down to the good metal. Get rid of a little bit of this rust in here because we aren't going to get a good penetration that way. So what we'll do, I'll go ahead and actually I think I might have to drill these holes first just to be sure. That way I don't have to come back later, try and find the holes because I'm going to be grinding. But yeah, I'll drill those holes in there and then we'll go from there. Alright guys, so we ground this down in here. It's nice and clean. I got that weld in here. Cleaned up some of the welds going up the frame rail on the back of the seat pan. But so this is nice and clean. We can get a good weld all the way around in here. This might be a little tricky to clean up. Probably do that with my die grinder. But we'll just butt weld all of this in here. My replacement pan is actually fitting pretty decent. Got a little bit of manipulating afterwards, but we can put a dolly underneath. And this isn't right. This isn't, I just set it here. But if we move that around a little bit, get it down in the seam, drilled our holes. I'm not going to worry about the rib. I'm going to be putting Dynamat or something like that, an insulator underneath of here anyways. I'm not that worried about it. I'm not going for Concourse Restore here. If I was, this entire pan would be changed. But we'll just keep on plugging away here. We'll get this welded in, grind down the welds. And you know, once the welds are ground down, you'll never notice it. Alright, so here we go guys, we got this welded in. I still need to go underneath and weld that to the frame rail. But as you can see, I use self-tapping screws just to suck everything down to the frame rail. Welded it all in all the way around. So we'll clean up that weld. And you won't even know that this was patched. And that's a wonderful thing about tin and welding. So we'll just buff all that down. I want to weld underneath first, make sure everything's tight. But yeah, we'll show you the underneath here in just a second. Okay, so here we are under the car. There's the frame rail, there's the self-tapping screws. So each one of them plug holes, I got to put a weld in those so the frame rail is tight to the floor pan. Here's the other side. We got to push that support up into place. There's a little bit of a gap in there, but that's not a big deal. We can get that up in there. Finish up welding the spring mount. Bend these tabs back over so we can get that welded to the bottom of the frame rail. But yeah, we're just plugging right along here, guys. We'll get some more welding done. Alright guys, so here we go. We got that patch in there. Everything's ground down. Yeah, and you know, I'm planning on putting a dynamat in here or something like that. An insulator. But you know what, I'm quite happy with that. We got the old rotten steel out of here. We got a new patch put in. It's welded, it's solid. I'm happy with this. We'll take you underneath. We'll show you what we did under there. Some of the spot welds, took the self-tapping screws out, and we got that all welded up. So let me throw my light under there and we'll show you that. So here we go, guys. So you can see the new patch right here. So that's all in place. It's all welded in. We got most of the frame rail all welded in from the bottom here. And overhead welding just sucks. I'm not a fan of it. But we got it all welded in. We got the tabs welded in for the emergency brake cable and the spring mount. So that's all welded in. I'll take you around the other side here. Same thing. I got a little patch that I got to do right there. So I'm just going to put a piece of sheet metal on the back side. We'll weld this side. It'll be as good as new, if not stronger. And like I said, that's just for your brake lines and your emergency, actually just your brake lines. Emergency brake cable comes over into that mount. But everything's welded up under here. Now it's just a matter of cleaning up the welds and getting everything in place where it needs to be. But you know, I'm quite happy with the results. So here we go, guys. We got some of the floor pan done. There's a few spots. I kind of pointed those out on the passenger side. Also where the seat belts mount in the back seat, there's a couple little spots I got to patch up in there. I'll do that in the next segment. We'll go through that. I'll try and get a little more detailed. It's been a while since I posted, so I really wanted to get some content just built up and ready to go onto YouTube. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for all your comments. Keep them coming. I love to hear your comments. This is great. I'm enjoying sharing the build of the Cuda with you. Till next time, guys, take care.